With me today is Checo Tohomaso, musical director of the Vancouver Gospel Choir, VOC, and his band Nova. We're going to talk a little bit about Nova. Welcome.
Thank you. Mahalo. Thank you.
Mahalo, my brother. It's great to have you here with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we were talking earlier just
Right.
about what you're up to right now.
Yes.
And with the pandemic and everything going on, it's kind of shut everything down.
Yes. Fortunately, we just finished filming with Kurt Russell and Darlene Love,
Okay.
Christmas Chronicles 2,
Right.
right before I came, and COVID-19 came out. We just had finished doing that. And also, I was on Zoe's Extraordinary playlist, which was aired in January.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
If people that don't know you, man, I mean, I've gone over and researched all your work, and I've known you personally as a friend.
That's right.
Excuse me, for quite a while. Man,
Right.
you're tireless. How do you do this?
By God grace, man. It's all by God grace. And also having a young son, I have my young son, the
Yes.
youngest son, Kai, he keep me straight. He said, Dad, you don't sing that well. Oh, Dad, so I have to continue to practice and get better.
Right,
Yes.
right. Let's talk about the early years. Let's start from the beginning and then
Yes.
bring everybody up to date as we
Right,
go.
right.
Talk about your years growing up with music and gospel music.
Actually, it's kind of interesting. My cousin, Glenn Forever, who's Portuguese, was in Hawaii, because I grew up Catholic and Methodist, AME on my mother's side when I go down to Florida, but I'm also Catholic. But I got introduced to gospel music because I went to school at Kupasaki High School in Okinawa, and I got introduced to Andre Crouch, and that changed my whole life of gospel music. As well, when I was in Tallahassee, Florida, I was 13 years old, and I met the Mighty Clouds of Joy.
Wow.
And I go, okay, this kind of music made it. When these guys sung, it went all the way through my body.
Oh, yeah.
And I was going, wow, this is crazy. I couldn't hardly sleep at nighttime. So I went and bought out that kind of thing there, yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, you mentioned the Mighty Clouds of Joy. Who else inspired you as far as your gospel background? Was there any one particular, even no one that we know,
Well,
that brought
yes,
you to the
actually,
river?
Actually, it was a guy by the name of Jack Johnson at Flipper Chapel AME Church in Tallahassee, Florida. When I was 12 years old, I saw this guy on the piano, and he was playing like Billy Preston. And I go, wow, this is incredible.
Right.
So that inspired me to play piano.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, the early years, I like the 70s, the 80s.
Oh, yes, right.
Those were
Right.
some interesting years. Matter of fact, I find those one of the most beautiful years of when music was created. And,
Exactly.
You
The
know.
70s took it to the, that's when I had my band Nova.
right.
And man, there were so many good groups that was playing.
Yes.
And we had the horns and stuff like that, because my favorite group, even today, my favorite band, Earth, Wind, and Fire, EWF.
Yes.
And I met some of the guys, and I hung out with, actually used to call me Larry Dunn, who was the original keyboard player,
Right.
Ralph Johnson, who was percussionist. Of course, I met the rest of the guys too, but actually Larry Dunn was, and Al McKay. Man, nobody could play like that, man.
Right,
These guys, man. And actually, I didn't find out that till I came to Canada that Earth, Wind, and Fire influenced some of the producers here in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
David Foster.
David Foster.
Be- David, because of Earth, Wind, and Fire, David Foster wrote "After the Alarm Is Gone,"
Right.
and that Maurice White was his musical mentor.
Wow.
I didn't find out that until I went to Victoria. I go, wow,
It's amazing.
So that band is still, people sample their music. They're still good.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Speak a bit about Marvin Gaye.
Oh my God. Yes.
Marvin, for instance, went to high school with my father.
He did?
Marvin was at Spingarn, and my dad was at Armstrong.
So you from D.C.?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
man. That's where Marvin's from, D.C. As a matter of fact, they just named a park after him there
Right,
in
right.
D.C.
And his father went to high school with my grandfather.
Really?
At Armstrong in Washington, D.C. So we have this connection.
Yes.
But I would like you to talk about the years you spent and the time you spent with this brother and how
With
important
Marvin.
he was. Yes.
To tell you, ladies and gentlemen, even today, Marvin is my favorite singer of all time.
Right.
Because his tone, his pitch, there wasn't no auto-tuning. Marvin would lay down, and it's kind of like this thing, would lay down and sing a song.
Right.
You know, and I remember when I was practicing with him, he would pat me on my back to get the rhythm. He told me, you got to catch the soul. I met Marvin in Hawaii in 1979.
Okay.
And then, and I saw him, and I played with him, and I rehearsed with him, but I was on his last European tour in 1980.
Right.
And actually, you can see live footage of it, live from Montreux, Switzerland. You'll see me playing the percussion and doing all this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did you get the musicality at? Where did it all really come from? Because you play more than just one instrument. You're playing everything.
Yes, yes. Yes, someone told me that I was a gospel prince. Because one of my albums, I played the bass, I played the percussion, I played the drum, I played the keyboards and everything like that. Well, because I was influenced by so much. As a kid, I used to go to, well, I was born in Tallahassee, Florida.
Right.
But I was raised in Manoa Valley. But FAMU, the marching hundreds, the band, the rhythm, the band's marching fast, Dr. Foster. Right. And I went to music camp at Florida State University.
Oh, did you?
So, yeah, so that's why I play drums. Okay. I like the marching drums because we had to dance. I don't know if anybody know about the bands down there.
Grambling and
the Grambling, Southern, A&T,
yes.
Morris Brown, which used to be Morris Brown, and Morehouse, but FAMU, marching 100.
What a treat.
Yes.
What a treat. And if you haven't seen it, ladies and gentlemen, you need to go on to YouTube and check it out for yourself.
That's right.
It's absolutely amazing.
That's right.
You know,
right.
You'll never see another marching bands like these.
That's right. That's right. That's right. They played, they danced, they sang, everything, right?
Right. They did. Right. Talk about the delicate balance of worldly music versus gospel and them combining together. And
well, you know what happened? It's always, I remember as a kid, people talk about there's, the secular music and the spiritual music, and they say, oh, this devil music and everything. No, all music came from God.
Right.
But it's the person that what you want to sing about. Music supposed to be, God created music. Music is supposed to be inspiring. Mm-hmm. That's why if back in the day, you see back for being Afro-American descendant, half Afro-American descendant, when them brothers be singing those before slavery, those songs, they was songs like "Way in the Water." Yes. The slaves sung those songs saying, "Okay, man, the Jordan River is chilly and cold, chill my body, but not my soul." Right. But they weren't talking about the Jordan River in Jordan. They were talking about the Mississippi River. Right. Because on the east side of the Mississippi River was slavery. On the north side is freedom. And that's why the Canadian contact, because they went up through Maine and came up to Halifax, Nova Scotia. And all that gospel music, the music is inspiring. And even when those guys was on the chain gang, Sam Cooke wrote a song, that's the sound of the men working on the chain gang. That sweet soul. Don't you know? See, that's music. I was telling my son, he said, Dad, you got to listen to it. But we have, but I respect him because, right. My mom would respect him with that kind of music like that.
Right. So where does that take us now, Checo? During those periods, there was a lot of, things going on in the world,
Oh, yes.
especially during the 70s,
Oh, yeah.
coming out of the 60s into the 70s.
Right,
And
right.
what were some of the, roadblocks or some of the things that you hit along the way? And how did you, especially when you traveled overseas and,
Yeah. Now, it was interesting you said that because when Marvin asked me to go on tour with him to Europe, I go, oh, man, they don't like black people over there, man. I don't want to go over there. I want to stay with my brothers here on the island. He
Right.
said, no, they'll love you. They will love you. And for sure, the first concert that we did with Marvin Gaye was at the Royal Albert Hall. And we did 2 shows, and the people went crazy. And the first song that we sang, I still remember it. And actually, it's interesting. Good music never die. I don't know if you probably heard about this thing with Pharrell did, Birdline,
Yes.
which came from Got to Give It Up.
Right.
I played the percussion on Got to Give It Up. You can see me on YouTube playing with Marvin and that was the first song that we sang. People went crazy. I used to go out to party. See that tone and pitch and stuff like that.
Yes.
People went crazy.
Oh, they
And
did.
actually, you can see me, like I said before, singing. And, well, I was on that one. I was just doing percussion and stuff like that one.
Right. So, as a youth, I imagine you spent time just playing. Just
Yes.
everything was musicality in your head.
I was blessed to be around great musicians. Not only good musicians. Like I say, Larry Dunn, one of the awesome keyboardist players around. He the one that did September. That's it. Dun, 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 dun. That piano.
Yes.
And also, boom, 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 boom.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that's
Amazing, man.
See, there's no auto to it. I'm just singing just from the
Right.
heart. And so that like I said, I was blessed to be around great musicians, like even like gospel with Andre Crouch. He'd play the piano like dun 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 dun, soon and very soon. I love that gospel music and when they syncopation and everything like that.
Wow.
In which it's all those guys, they learned, like Marvin father was a minister.
Right.
They learned in at the church.
At the church.
At the church. And I think that's what I like in a lot of music, the spirituality tone of it.
Right. Now, I also know a bit about you. You go out and reach out and uplift folks. Your shows are based around uplifting.
That's right. Encouragement.
Encouragement. And I know you've done work with the indigenous folks as well.
Oh, yes.
How was that for you, or is that for you now? And how prevalent is that in your daily?
Oh, it's interesting because all this what's going on in the world today, like right now, it's kind of sad in some ways because singing those songs right now, like when with the Black Lives Matter issues and stuff like this, my whole take on that with music, even I think about the 5 steps when they say, "Ooh, child, things are gonna get better." Tupac even did a rendition. My son played that one. I really like that one when he keeping your head up,
Right.
and they go, "Ooh, child, things are gonna," and that kind of a songs like that.
That's wonderful. Talk a bit about your days with the Commodores.
Oh, I'm not. See, now, here's the interesting thing is I met the Commodores after Marvin.
Right.
I met the Commodores like in 1981 when they came to the island to Hawaii. That's why I met, because my band Nova, we used to, at my band Nova, we used to open up for so many groups.
Right.
My first group I opened up with, a lot of people don't know, I'm going to tell about them because they had the funkiest group. They called the Blackbirds. They were from Washington,
The D.C., Donald Byrd.
Donald Byrd and the Blackbirds.
Used to go and see them all the time down at University of Maryland.
Hey, bro. That we open up. You can go online. You see when Nova opened up for the Blackbird, and they said, they said, what song? I said, "Doing It in the Park."
Yeah.
doing it after dark. Oh yeah, Rock Creek Park. Oh yeah, Rock Creek Park. Man, that was a jam, man.
Yes, it was.
But a lot of people, because of Canadian content, that song never did really make it
Right.
over here. Because that was plenty go, oh, we don't never heard of. But those, like you would say, the 70s, the bands was, and then a lot of those people like Donald Burke was an educator. They taught us. They was teachers, right?
Right.
So we learned from that. We learned what a chord were.
Right.
We learned the progressions, the crescendos, the decrescendos, and the accents, and
Right.
the,
In the music.
in the music.
Yes.
Right? Yes.
Oh, man. Now, you also you performed with Lionel Richie.
Yes.
How was that?
Now, see what Lionel. See, people don't. A lot of people don't understand. See, the Commodores. That was in 1984 when I did work with the Commodores. We did the universities. Like we did. The last show that I did with the Commodores was in East Lansing, Michigan, and it was like the Heroes 1984 Heroes album that they had Jesus is Love, and I also was in what they had a choir called St. Louis Gospel Choir. Then Lionel, Father help your children.
Right.
Yeah, that was the last song that I sang with the Commodores.
Wow.
And then I worked with Lionel in 1986, actually in Vancouver at the Pacific Coliseum on the Hello All Night Long. There. But I didn't do Dancing on the Ceiling. I wasn't with him on that thing. No. I wasn't with that one.
No.
Yes.
But you also, your choir
Yes.
performed with such acts as Celine Dion.
That's right.
I was there that night. Actually, I did the staging for that show.
You did?
Yeah.
That's
I watched
right.
y'all march right by me
Wow,
with Celine on
man.
up to the stage.
That's right. See, I love that because it's authentic.
It was.
And also, you're not exaggerating.
No.
Because people know you. People say, I did this. No. But people there, they know. Like you was there, man.
I was there.
That's
It was
right.
a beautiful show.
That's
and,
right.
She's a really wonderful performer.
She was a
by the
nice
way.
performer. Really did.
Yeah,
That's right.
she came after the show. She came down. She hugged us all and thanked us all for our tireless work. And
You was there.
I was there. Man. That was a beautiful moment
Right
watching y'all come
on.
out on that stage.
That's
that was
right.
powerful.
That's right.
Yeah, and she was a consummate performer. And,
That's right.
yeah, she's one of my favorites, I have to say. And
Interesting. I didn't know who she was until they sent me, back then they sent me a cassette of the music what we had to learn.
right,
And I go, who is this? Because she was from France. And then we learned this song, and then we met up with the musical director, and
right.
and then we did the show for them as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. Talk more about some of the challenges you faced as a producer and music writing, for instance. Tell me what goes into writing a great song. When do you know you have something?
Marvin, I remember because I met Marvin when I was very young,
Right.
and Marvin, I did a song. I was doing my stuff and everything. He said, "Chico, it's not ready yet." I go, "What do you mean it's not ready yet?"
Yeah.
He said, "Well, it's not ready." He said, "You become a better writer, but you have to go through some hurt." I go, "What is he talking about?" And I learned later on, when you go through some challenges in your life, you become a better writer.
Right.
Because you're writing from your heart and your soul. Like when I lost my aunt who helped raise me, that was very, hurtful. And my uncle, when you lose loved ones, music
Is a soul
it's
provider.
a soul. That's
healing.
right, the soul divider to help comfort you during those losses.
Right. So most of where's your inspiration come for a lot of your music that you write for yourself?
It's interesting. I have an album back in the day called "Keep in Touch."
Yes, I
That
was
is
playing
the
that this
gospel.
morning.
Yeah. If you listen to that, it sounds more like Lionel Richie because he was the last person I worked with. So I was playing a lot of those chords.
Right.
I didn't mean to, but
Right.
it came out that way.
Right.
And then if you listen to Nova, That's when I was working with, was rehearsing with Marvin. You'll find out it sound, and I was listening also I was listening to Earth, Wind and Fire. So you listen to that album, it sounds like Earth, Wind and Fire, Kool and the Gang. I love Kool and the Gang. Kool and the Gang. And also I play bass as well.
Right.
And who inspired me, my Lord, he's not here no more. His name was Louis Johnson. You know who Louis Johnson is?
No.
Want me to hip you on that one?
Yes, one, please.
Thunder Thumbs.
Plucking.
Thunder Thumbs.
Yes.
You know, he one of his one of the songs they go. Dum, dum, dum.
I remember.
You remember? Yeah,
yes.
the Brothers Johnson.
Oh yes.
And he played the bass for all of Michael Jackson. Louis Johnson. He the one that taught me,
how to pluck the bass, eh?
Yeah, well, years ago, we want the fun.
Yeah, Stevie Washington was also from Slave. Was one of those influences of plucking that and pulling on the bass there. It was a very interesting time.
And I met the Brothers Johnson and Louis Johnson. And he and he came out with Strawberry Letter 23.
Yes.
And Thunder Thumbs. And he no longer with us, but he was one of my strong. Even today, I would go on YouTube and watch Louis Johnson play. Man, this guy was so gifted.
Amazing. Yeah. Now, I mentioned that you have a 130 member choir.
Yes.
How do you work with 130 people on stage and get that energy?
I know energy. Yeah. Like it's interesting. They all come all together, but usually, like, that's Christmas time, we have a really big choir, but we usually be between 50 to 60 to 70 to 80 to 100, sometimes 110, like for Christmas time.
Right.
Because I have two choirs.
Okay.
One in Victoria and one in Vancouver.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have a choir in Victoria. They changed the name right before all this coronavirus came to. It called Checo and the Sweet Soul.
Right.
Choir, but before it was the Victoria's Soul Gospel Choir.
Soul Gospel
Choir.
Choir.
Yeah, because that gospel thing gotta be there, right?
Now, do you have any standouts within your choirs that vocalists and people that we should know about?
Yes. There's a young girl in Victoria. Her name is Allegra. Okay. I taught her when she was 13 years old. You'll see her on YouTube with her bands and stuff like that. Okay. And another, when he was a young guy named Warren Fernandez, and he went out to do it. Right now he's doing contemporary Christian music.
Right.
Yeah, but he was one of my students. I taught him as well.
Now, how do you strike the balance with being there, being here, and all the other activities that go into this, man? How do you do this? How is that done? How do you get the time to be here?
All of it. It's before the virus, man. I had it's a rhythm. Like I took my son several years ago to see the Globetrotters, right? And it's, Curly, when I was a kid, that was the man. Right. Actually, when I was there, I have one of these old retro Globetrotters jackets. Everybody came up to me, "Are you one of the Globetrotters?" And my son wanted me to take it off because people was coming up to me, thinking I was one of my autographs and stuff.
Right.
But it's the rhythm.
Yes.
The rhythm, I think. So I used to, like on Tuesday, I would go to Victoria and come back, and then and plus I was going and playing at different venues here, doing festivals and things like that too as well.
It's amazing. It's the energy and the level of intensity that goes into this and the work that goes into it, the pre-production, man.
Yeah, see, I arrange all my music. But here's one thing I tell young people to really, if you're doing music, do it from your heart and soul. That's what I learned it from.
Absolutely.
And that's usually the ones that make it.
Absolutely.
Right? Not trying to be rich or doing whatever, And today it's hard to find guys singing with their heart and soul like we did back in the day, man.
Yeah, but what's
know?
happened to these groups? Where are
I-
these
you
Where
know-
are these
you
kids
know,
at right now? They
you
just
know,
seem to fall off the map
I
since
know,
this
I
new
know,
generation.
and then there, to me, I was listening to some even the guys from back in the like Blackstreet.
Yes.
Man, those guys could sing.
Oh, Teddy Riley and
That's right, Taylor Riley. You know, Taylor Riley, and you listen to those guys. They would listen to guys like Bill Withers. You
Right.
know, like Grandma Hands.
Yeah.
And but then when Taylor Riley came in,
Yes, yes.
you know,
Yeah, absolutely.
right?
You can hear that gospel beat and then
That's
that,
right.
that,
You get
chain gang movement.
that's right. That's right. You know that harmony. That
Yes.
sweet harmony.
Talk more about how things are for you today and what we're facing with all of the things in the world right now, in North America and around the world, with racism and the marches, the Black Lives Matter. How has that affected your view on the world?
Well, actually, my son and I went to one of the marches, and we was on CBC, and I made a statement. Take your knee off my neck.
Right.
That was a metaphor to, okay, it took a man life, see someone to get murdered on live TV
Yes.
to make the whole world move. It's not just North America, but all over, because things have been going and changing and all over, like France, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Taiwan, China, because of this, what they saw, police brutality. All police is not bad. My uncle was a police in the law enforcement. But that one bad guy did this, it just activated a movement that, and because at the end of the day, all our blood is red or blue.
Right.
So with my take on it, like I was telling my cousin in Puerto Rico, I said, all lives matter, but I could understand where you will get the phrase Black Lives Matter because they've been mistreated for so long, so many years. And it take that to take down Confederate flags, to take down, as we speak right now, they're in Mississippi, they're changing their state flag. As of Friday, they're going to be changing, they're taking the Confederate to take off that. So we don't want to be reminded of slavery anymore. We're supposed to move forward now.
Right.
It's time to move forward.
Right. Now, how does that affected you as a black man? And do you feel away from the action being here, or do you feel you have do you feel like you have a purpose?
Well, and speaking of no, one day I was speaking about my son and I. We was sitting down just about 6 weeks ago, English Bay, waiting for 7 o'clock. I played the tambourine because for the thing.
Yeah.
And our police officer drove past us. He looked over at us, and we just chilling. Then he drove all the way around the block, drove around again,
Yes.
and looked at us. And we just kept on.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been racially profiled in Canada, in Nelson, BC, in Chilliwack, been pulled over. You want to see my license? Mistake of identity. So just,
Yeah.
So I don't let that bother me because I say I'm not a Canadian. I respect that, but it's my attitude. I see it. It does. It hurts me to see what a lot of things doing. But thank God we got young people. I think going to be able to change. It's just like my grandfather, our grandfathers, our fathers. Like things a little bit better. We have had an Afro-American president,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You know, in which I was blessed to play for his junior senior prom
Oh, wow.
when he was in grade 11 at Punahou, you know. But I knew him as Barry,
Right.
and then when he became president, he emailed me. I have emails from him, so that made me feel good. That made that, you know, we can't go back. We have to go forward.
Yes.
We have to, you know, you don't, as the Bible, you know, what happened to people that look back? You may turn into salt.
Yes.
Remember from
Yes.
Son of It, she looked back and she turned into salt.
Yes.
Yes, we got to look forward.
Right. What is there? You've done it all, pretty much. What's there left to do? What do you figure?
Well, I've been doing movies. My whole thing now is to train, encourage the youth.
Right.
A lot of youth cannot sing like we used to sing. They don't. They got that. I go, no, no, come on, man. Open your mouth and sing the song.
Right.
Like the aunties, like in Hawaii, there's aunties, like a lady named Laura Gardner, and help me. That's why I'm like, you know, open your mouth and sing. Right. Like Marvin, you know, used to sing, and how sweet it is to be loved by you. Yeah. Oh, baby. See, he, you know, used all of his tones,
yes,
all of his voice.
It's very beautiful.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's your homeboy.
Yeah, he is.
From D.C.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. I tell you, Marvin lives in my house.
He's the Prince of Soul.
He really is.
He's the Prince of Soul.
He really was, and dearly missed.
For sure.
What else about? I'm still kind of interested in wanting to hear more about Nova.
Nova was a bunch of crazy guys got together. If you look online, we were some sad looking puppies.
Oh
man.
my goodness!
Oh, man.
I saw the pictures. I love the fro. I love the fro.
The fro was out of whack.
Oh my goodness!
We looked like the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Oh man!
But we played with all our heart and soul, man.
Right.
And
you had a female singer in that group, right?
Lisa Long.
Lisa Long.
That's right. She was Hopper. We call half white, Hopper Holly.
Yes.
Half white and half Hawaiian.
Right.
Hawaiian. And man, she could sing. Her tone and pitch was, she was saying something like Minnie Riperton.
Yes.
Hit those, loving you.
That 8 octave.
Oh, yeah. She could hit, you listen to her, she could, and we had a young guy from Dallas, Texas, Houston, Texas, actually. It was Sandy, and he would go, oh, he hit them high.
Falsetto notes.
So we used to build harmony, because in Hawaii, if you listen to the Samoans, the Africans, that harmony,
yes,
that harmonic, you don't hear harmony like that no more.
No, you don't.
You don't hear, I think the last group that came, like, you would listen to Black Street.
Yes.
Had that harmony, that, you know, Boys to Men had that tight harmony. You can hear it.
Right.
You know.
Right.
You know, when you go, oh, we jump to the end of the road and we can't let go.
Yeah.
It's unnatural. It belongs to me and belong to you. Oh, come on, man.
You inspired me over here.
That's the real deal. No auto-tune. Where's the auto-tuning going? No.
Yeah.
You know, we're not saying, we're just coming from there.
Oh, talk about, I grew up in Washington, D.C., and, you know, at night, you know, late at night on a hot summer day, we'd see the quartets and
yes,
singing on the corner.
Yes.
Can you talk about a little bit about that and your experiences
okay,
with
now,
it?
see, we didn't sing like, we sung in Hawaii.
You were out on the ocean.
We sang under the tree outside with the ukulele, right?
Yes, yes.
And then, but when I went to New Orleans,
yes,
with my auntie and over, that's when you see those guys singing on the corner.
Right.
Harmony, you know, ooh, baby, baby, ooh. I go, wow, this little guy, no, you know, and they just sang. Wow. And you have, I know you won't leave me. I go, listen to these guys,
That's
man.
wonderful.
And man, you just hear him just singing, man. You know, yeah, it's just singing. You don't see guys. I guess it was a different place there. You know, now. Different place there. You know.
Yeah, it was. You know, it was a release. It also gave the neighborhood, you know, opportunity to showcase themselves.
That's right.
You know, when nobody else was listening, we were listening.
That's right.
As black folks.
That's right.
And
That's right.
there was this energy that came from those corners, you know. And I mean, they go into late night singing, and you know, the windows and the shades would be blowing through, and you'd hear these beautiful voices.
That's right. And you know what? But that voice went all the way across the ocean.
Yes.
Even Rod Stewart, bring over some of your old Motown records.
Yes.
Put the speakers in the window and we blow. Only with the miracles in the alley, oh. Had the Temptations singing with that, them, you know. So that that song, that music went all the way across the ocean with that harmony. Yes. The Beatles did it, and all over the Stones, influenced by Motown.
Right. It's just amazing. It really
and it's all came from the church and the gospel music.
Yes.
Well, the innovator of God, I would say, they asked me, said, Chico, what are you? I said, I'm a son and a student of sweet soul music. Right. I study sweet soul music. They said, what you mean by that? I said, the king of soul, Otis Redding. Yes. Mr. Soul, Sam Cooke.
Yeah.
They said, what Sam? I was born by the river. Yes. That's Mr. Soul.
Oh, man, absolutely.
And then Marvin, Prince of Soul, oh, mercy, mercy me. Oh, things ain't what they used to be. No.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's Marvin, right? Mr. Excited, Jackie Wilson. You can't forget about him. No. That's the one that spun around that even Michaels learned how to spin from watching Jackie Wilson. Yeah. Spin it around.
What do you think about Miss Patti LaBelle?
I like Patti LaBelle.
Yeah. She comes here and performs every now and
I
then.
know,
you know.
but I never get to see her, but I love Aretha Franklin. Yes. The Queen of Soul.
Yes.
She would put her hand on her hips and go, don't trouble the water. Yes. Get along. Why don't you let it be? Still water and deep.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it do. Oh, yeah. You know, oh, my God.
Oh, man, it's so amazing, man. It's so amazing to listen to this.
I was going to ask my son, you know, auto-tuning here, do you? You know,
it's so wonderful to have you with us.
Brother, thank you.
Thank you.
Mahalo. Thank you.